Here's a step-by-step video on how to make a puffer vest. You'll need pattern, scissors, zipper, thread, and stuffing. The jersey should be at least a size or two bigger than what you want the puffer to be because once you stuff it, it does get smaller. So you'll start by dividing your pattern in half. So you get one number on the left and one number on the right. That's not always dead center, so you might have to get a little bit creative with that. Then place your pattern on one side or the other. I used a block, which I just had from school, but you could get a legit pattern that is the size that you need it to be. If this is your first time making something, I definitely recommend getting a store-bought pattern. Then you do the same thing to the back, make sure the name and the number is centered. Some jerseys have the name and number sewn on and some of them are just printed on. If they're sewn on, you can just cut out the jersey and then seam rip the name and the number and put it wherever you want. Make sure you fold it in half so both sides are perfectly equal, and then match up your side seams and your shoulder seams to make sure that the front and back are going to fit together nicely. You're going to use those same jersey pieces as your pattern for the lining. You want it to be the same size. You can use paperweights or anything heavy to keep your jersey down. Don't be like me and try to freehand it. You'll do this for both front pieces and the back piece. Make sure you're checking along the way that everything is matching up perfectly. Now the hard part is picking how many little puffs you want, how many lines you want to sew, where you want to sew them, if you want to go through the numbers, not through the numbers. I just measured mine out equal distance apart. After doing this, make sure you're pinning through both layers of fabric. I would do one center seam, side seam, and then one dead center. This is a guide when you're sewing. And just so you know, if you sew through this vinyl like the numbers are on mine, and you try to seam rip it, those holes will be there forever. So make sure whatever you do, it's exactly what you want it to look like in the end. Then you line up your left and right, make sure everything's perfectly even so when you zip it up, it doesn't look wonky. I chose to clean finish all of the edges by doing a hem, but you can serge it, you can bind it, you can do whatever you want. Just make sure you're leaving one side open so you can stuff it. It really doesn't take that much stuffing, so be aware whenever you're doing this. You don't want it to be massive. We chose to use the sleeve detailing for the collar, and if you're doing this, make sure that you choose something that's straight. Sometimes the sleeves are more curved than they seem once you actually start cutting them, so just square it off, use a ruler. See, the little left side in my corner is not squared at all, so I had to go back and fix that. I think it's so fun to try to use the entire jersey, have no waste, and you get to be creative on which parts you can make into new parts. And then same thing with the lining here, just make sure it matches up with your jersey fabric. Sewing in the zipper is the best feeling ever because all of the stuffing will be enclosed. I chose to take the logo off the collar and put it center back. My client wanted pockets, so I just used my hand to measure. There's definitely more professional ways to do pockets, but this is how I did it and it worked out just fine. And here is the final vest. It does take a long time. It is kind of frustrating to use stuffing, but it's so beautiful in the end. I love it so much.